Have you ever found yourself just caught in that relentless whirlwind? Constant emails, rushing between meetings, saying yes to maybe too many things.
Mm.
And then at the end of it all, you have that nagging feeling that despite being incredibly busy, you haven't really moved the needle on what truly matters. Or maybe you've drifted even further away from, well, your purpose.
It's a very familiar feeling for many, I think. That sense of being stretched too thin.
Exactly, feeling perpetually overwhelmed. Well, today we're aiming to cut through some of that noise.
Good.
We're doing a deep dive into something called essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less.
A powerful concept.
It really is. And it's not just another time management trick, is it? Or some productivity hack.
No, not at all. It's much deeper than that. It's a fundamental shift, really. A recalibration in how you approach, well, everything. Life, work.
So it's about figuring out what's truly essential.
Precisely. And then having the discipline to intentionally remove everything else.
And to help us navigate this, we have Prof. Mo Imam with us, renowned for distilling these complex ideas into really actionable wisdom. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here to talk about this. It's such a vital topic right now.
It absolutely is. Excellent to have you. So let's set the scene a bit. In many professional circles, maybe particularly in fields like medicine, being constantly busy, it's almost worn like a badge of honor, isn't it?
It absolutely is. A sign of importance almost.
Yeah.
Indispensability.
Right. But this relentless drive for more, more commitments, more projects, more papers, more everything from an essentialist viewpoint, it seems to lead somewhere quite different in the long run. Somewhere counterproductive.
That's spot on.
Right.
It's actually one of the most fascinating aspects of essentialism, how it directly confronts that ingrained cultural belief that more is always better.
Mm-hmm.
You describe the non-essentialist life perfectly. That constant urge to be busy, to say yes almost automatically.
Right, reflex, yes.
Exactly. Feeling you have to try everything. Working through these endless to-do lists that, frankly, never seem to get shorter.
They just grow.
They do. And this constant striving, it looks productive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On the surface.
Yeah, definitely.
But underneath, it's often a futile exercise. It promises achievement. But what it usually delivers is, well, mounting stress. Serious decision fatigue.
Ah, decision fatigue. That really resonates. The sheer mental load.
Precisely. It's
Wow.
exhausting. Our brains aren't really designed for that level of constant fragmented choosing and shifting focus. We're bombarded.
Constantly.
Especially now, smartphones, social media notifications popping up, the whole consumer culture pushing the next best thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're subtly conditioned to think the next app, the next gadget, the next opportunity, the next committee role that will be the thing that finally brings satisfaction or makes us feel, relevant or successful.
That it doesn't quite work like that, does it?
Rarely. It just leads to this overwhelming pressure for constant productivity, trying to manage time that isn't really ours because it's driven by external demands, trying to prioritize everything.
Which means prioritizing nothing.
Effectively, yes. The cognitive load just becomes immense. It leads straight to burnout, that feeling of always being behind, even when you're working flat out.
So if that's the problem, this non-essentialist trap, how does essentialism actually offer a way out? What is this disciplined pursuit of less?
Right. Well, essentialism stands in stark contrast to all that. You could think of it as a sort of manual for living intentionally.
Okay.
And it's crucial to grasp it's not about just doing less for the sake of doing less, or that other common misconception, trying to do more with less resource. That's not it.
Right. Not about squeezing more out.
No. The core idea is about doing the right less. It's about equipping yourself with the clarity and perhaps the courage.
Courage seems important here.
It really is. The courage to distinguish between your internal voice, that quiet or authentic compass pointing towards your genuine priorities, your values, what you really aspire to, and all that external noise. The clamor of societal expectations, fleeting trends, endless requests, the constant digital distractions.
So learning to hear yourself above the racket.
In essence, yes.
Yeah.
And then cultivating the discipline to act on what you hear, to strategically, systematically remove the non-essential things from your life, clearing the decks, so to speak.
Clearing the decks for what truly matters. That distinction, internal voice versus external noise, feels incredibly powerful. It implies a sort of conscious slowing down, doesn't it? Moving away from just reacting all the time.
Absolutely. A conscious deceleration, a shift away from reactive consumption, reactive agreement, endless activity.
So if someone really embraces this, what are the kinds of tangible benefits they might start seeing? in their actual day-to-day life?
Oh, the benefits are profound
Mm,
and often quite quick to appear once you commit. You'll almost certainly feel a significant drop in stress levels,
that sounds good already.
doesn't it? Because you're no longer fighting this relentless tide of obligations that don't actually align with where you want to go.
Right.
You gain a very real increase in your available time, tangible hours back in your day or week, because you've actively pruned away the things that were just consuming it without giving much back.
Makes sense.
And that leads directly to greater freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your energy, who you spend your time with, what projects or activities you really want to dedicate yourself to.
And you mentioned finances as well. That's interesting.
Yes, surprisingly often, people find their financial well-being improves too.
Yeah.
Because you stop bleeding resources, your time, your energy, and your money into things that don't truly align with your purpose or bring you genuine, lasting value or joy.
So it's really about intentional living, focusing only on what's genuinely required and valuable.
Exactly that. Living intentionally, rather than just reacting to every stimulus, every email, every societal pressure that comes your way. It's about reclaiming your agency.
Reclaiming agency. I like that. Now, building on that idea of societal pressure,
Yeah.
we are just relentlessly bombarded, aren't we, with messages that more is better, new is better.
Constantly.
Society almost seems to brainwash us into this cycle of replacement, the new car every few years, the latest phone model.
Always the upgrade.
Yes, updating wardrobes constantly just to keep up with fashion. But does this endless pursuit of new gadgets, new clothes, constant acquisition, does it actually deliver lasting happiness? It feels more like chasing a high that just fades away really quickly.
You've hit on a crucial point there about lasting happiness.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. While getting something new, a shiny gadget, a new car, the latest fashion item, it does give you a temporary buzz, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. That little dopamine hit.
Precisely. A rush of novelty, a feeling of satisfaction. But the psychological research on this is incredibly consistent and quite clear. That novelty wears off remarkably fast.
So it doesn't last.
No. It's a phenomenon often called the hedonic treadmill. We adapt very quickly to the new thing. Our baseline happiness level just resets, and then we're off searching for the next new thing to give us that temporary lift.
The hedonic treadmill, that explains so much. It sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
And it creates this unsustainable cycle. It's magnified today by this pervasive keeping up with the Joneses mentality, which is kind of morphed into an obsession with celebrity lifestyles.
Yeah. Instagram lives.
Exactly. People trying to emulate these multimillionaire standards, often without anything like the same income. It leads to huge financial strain, debt, and this deep, nagging sense of dissatisfaction because the goalposts are always moving. It's a completely skewed idea of what actually brings real, long-term contentment.
So if that thrill of the new purchase is so fleeting and chasing acquisitions doesn't lead to lasting happiness, what does the research tell us? Where is genuine lasting happiness actually found?
Well, if we connect this back to the bigger picture, essentialism gives us a framework, a practical tool, to consciously build genuine value and meaning into our lives. It helps us invest our limited resources, time, energy, money strategically,
Okay.
into what truly brings comfort, growth, and that long-term happiness. And the research consistently points away from material accumulation,
Towards what then?
towards the intangibles, things like nurturing and building strong, meaningful relationships. The kind that offer real support, connection, mutual growth. That's huge.
Relationships, yes.
Also experiencing new things, things that broaden our horizons, challenge our assumptions, create vivid, lasting memories. Think travel, learning a new skill, engaging with different perspectives.
Experiences over things.
Largely, yes. And crucially, living authentically.
Yeah.
Living in alignment with your own personal values. Doing things that feel meaningful to you. Now, this isn't about rejecting all material possessions, becoming some sort of extreme ascetic.
Right, it's not about owning nothing.
No, not necessarily. It's about a fundamental, conscious shift in focus, from quantity to quality, from seeking external validation through possessions to cultivating internal resonance and meaning.
So being really deliberate, investing in what enriches life, not just fills space or keeps up appearances. How does essentialism help us make those spending choices then?
Exactly. Essentialism champions what you might call mindful spending. It's
Yeah.
about thoughtfully allocating your resources.
Mindful spending. Okay.
This approach frees you up to afford higher quality, truly meaningful items that serve a real purpose and bring lasting comfort or joy. Think about investing in a home that genuinely feels like a sanctuary, a space that supports your well-being, rather than just a showroom.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's the simple, immense joy of a beloved pet that offers unconditional companionship.
Can't put a price on that.
Quite. And importantly, it allows for those desired experiences. Maybe that trip you've always dreamt of, which creates indelible memories. Or investing in a course that genuinely expands your skills or knowledge. There's that classic, quite vivid example from Sex and the City.
Ah, yes, Carrie Bradshaw's shoes.
Exactly. She has that epiphany looking at her enormous shoe collection, realizing the cumulative cost could have actually bought her a decent apartment.
A sobering thought.
It is. It's a striking illustration of how unexamined spending, whether it's small, frequent things or large, occasional ones, really does add up. Mindful spending, guided by essentialist principles, means you use your money more effectively on things you genuinely want and will deeply enjoy.
Without going into debt for fleeting trends.
Precisely. It means you can actually say yes to the experiences and possessions that truly uplift your life, but you've learned to say no to all the non-essential stuff that would otherwise just drain your finances and your energy.
That's a really powerful distinction. Deliberate acquisition for genuine enrichment. It sounds fantastic, but, well, intellectually understanding less is more is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually identifying what truly matters in our complex lives, personal, professional, that feels like the really hard part. How do we even start that process? It sounds, as you said, potentially a bit brutal. Deciding what's truly essential amongst everything vying for our attention.
Okay, yes, let's definitely unpack the how, because this is where the theory meets reality, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It is a crucial step. And you're right, the process might feel a bit mean or brutal initially,
Yeah.
but using simple, focused lists.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental, surprisingly powerful tool for cutting through the noise.
Lists, okay? Not just mental lists then, actually writing them down.
Oh, absolutely. The physical act of writing forces a different level of clarity and commitment. It makes it tangible. Your first list should be your 5 most favorite physical possessions.
Life by favorite things. All right.
Yes. And what's interesting is these are often not the most expensive or flashy things you own. More often than not, they're deeply sentimental. A small souvenir from a trip that holds powerful memories. A piece of inherited jewelry. Maybe a battered photo album full of special moments.
Things with emotional weight.
Exactly. Items that tell your story, not just display monetary value. This exercise starts to reveal what genuinely resonates with you beneath the surface layers of what society suggests you should value.
That makes a lot of sense. The sentimental value often dwarfs the price tag. What's the next critical list?
Right. The second list. This one is arguably tougher, but utterly critical for an essentialist approach. It's the names of the 5 people who are most important to you.
Ooh, just 5. That sounds difficult.
It can feel incredibly difficult, yes. Especially for professionals with large networks, big families, lots of social connections. The thought of leaving someone off can feel almost like a betrayal.
I can see that.
But knowing precisely who these core people are is absolutely vital for effective time allocation. It forces you to consciously direct your most precious, non-renewable resource, your time and focused energy,
Time and energy, yes.
towards those relationships that truly matter and nourish you, instead of just reacting to everyone's demands or spreading yourself too thinly across too many connections.
That really is, as you said before, a stark mirror, making you face how you actually spend your time versus where you say your priorities are. Challenging, but necessary. What about values? Our core beliefs.
Good point. List number 3. Identify the 5 causes or core values you truly want to live by or deeply care about.
5 causes or values.
Yes. And you might find you have fewer than 5, and that's perfectly okay. Authenticity is key. These could be a commitment to a specific charity, a dedication to a healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, mindful eating, or perhaps a deep connection to your faith or spiritual practice.
Things that guide you.
Exactly. This list acts as your foundational compass. It helps guide how you allocate both your money and your time, ensuring your daily actions and bigger life choices align with what gives your life meaning. It's about building integrity between your beliefs and your actions.
And the final list are long-term goals.
The 4th list, yes. This requires what I often call brutal honesty with yourself. Write down the 5 life goals that are most important to you.
Brutal honesty. Okay.
This is where people often uncover surprises, subconscious desires, or maybe societal scripts they've adopted without realizing it. You have to genuinely ask yourself, is accumulating great wealth and getting that top job really more important than, say, that round-the-world trip you've always dreamt of? Is career progression truly more significant than starting a family, if that's also a deep desire? This exercise often surfaces those deeply held aspirations that might be getting pushed aside by the day-to-day noise or the shoulds. It helps you see your true long-term drivers.
These lists really do compel a level of self-reflection that I suspect many of us tend to sidestep because it can feel uncomfortable.
It can be uncomfortable initially,
Mhm.
but liberating in the end.
So once we have these lists, the favorite things, key people, core values, life goals, how do they become a practical living tool? How do we use them day to day?
Right. Once you've carefully crafted them, take a good, long, honest look. They represent, in black and white, what you value most.
Okay.
Then comes the pivotal question. Does it now make sense to consciously, strategically, clear out the things, items, commitments, maybe even certain interactions that don't feature on these lists, to make significantly more room for what does?
So it prompts action.
It should prompt action, yes. And these lists aren't meant to be filed away. Keep them accessible. On your phone, in your planner, pinned up somewhere visible,
As a constant reminder.
as a filter. When you face a tough decision, take on that new project, go to that demanding social event, buy that new gadget, you refer back to your list. They bring immediate clarity. Is this aligned? Does it serve one of my core goals or values? Does it make time for my key people?
A personal filtering system.
Exactly. And it's not a one-off exercise. You need to revisit these lists. Initially, maybe twice a year as you're making the shift. Then perhaps annually once things feel more settled.
Because priorities can change.
Priorities absolutely can and do change as we grow and gain wisdom. Life circumstances shift. So this practice needs to continue throughout life. It constantly forces that profound question: am I truly allocating my most precious resources, time, energy, focus, to what I genuinely value? These lists are that stark, but ultimately liberating mirror.
That's incredibly powerful, a dynamic filter for life. So, okay, we've identified our essentials using these lists. The next big hurdle, often quite intimidating, is protecting that reclaimed time and focus, which usually involves saying no.
Ah, yes. The dreaded word for many.
It really is. How do we, especially those of us maybe in caring professions or just naturally inclined to be people pleasers, start saying no without feeling overwhelmed by guilt or worrying about damaging important relationships, professional or personal?
This is a huge psychological barrier for so many people. The difficulty is deeply ingrained, isn't it?
Mm.
We're often taught yes is polite, helpful, collaborative.
Exactly. No feels rude.
It can feel rude or unhelpful. And it leads us into countless unwanted commitments. Helping a neighbor when you're utterly exhausted and just need to rest. Spending time with someone whose company you find draining purely out of obligation.
Been there.
Haven't we all? We feel this pressure to have a really good, externally validated reason to decline something. But for an essentialist, the thinking shifts completely. Self-care isn't just a good enough reason. It's a perfectly legitimate, profoundly important, non-negotiable reason to say no.
Self-care is a valid reason. That's key.
Absolutely key. You need to give yourself explicit permission to decline things simply because you don't feel like it or because it doesn't align with your chosen priorities. That example of colleagues asking you out for expensive cocktails after a long day, if you genuinely rather go home and read your book, you can simply politely say, no thanks, not tonight. And, crucially, remain completely guilt-free about it. Learning to articulate and uphold your no is vital for protecting yourself, your energy, and your boundaries. It turns obligation into choice.
That's such a critical reframing, seeing no as self-respect, not selfishness. But how do we put this into practice more concretely, especially in professional settings where saying no might feel risky? How do we set boundaries others accept without taking offense?
This is where the idea of extreme boundaries and criteria comes in. It sounds harsh, perhaps, but it's incredibly effective and actually quite respectful when done right.
Extreme boundaries. Tell me more.
It means being unequivocally clear, consistently firm and transparent about your limits. Take the example of those home sales parties, cosmetics, kitchenware, whatever.
Yes.
If your friends know you genuinely dislike being sold to by friends, and you've made that clear, perhaps saying something like, look, I just can't afford to buy things at every party, so to be fair to everyone, I'm going to have to politely decline all invitations. Then you simply won't get invited.
Because you've set a clear, fair rule.
Exactly. You've explained your reasoning. You're not singling anyone out. You've set a boundary that applies equally to all.
So it's about being proactive and clear, not reactive and resentful later?
Precisely. Or think about working from home. A common issue.
Definitely. Blurred lines.
People assuming you're always available for a chat or a favor because you're at home. Implementing a clear rule like, I don't take personal calls during my core work hours, and sticking to it, maybe keeping your personal phone on silent. Replying later ensures you protect your focus.
It might feel strict initially.
It might seem extreme to some at first, but this consistent approach works incredibly well. The overall framework is simple. Be crystal clear about what you are prepared to do and what you are not. Don't be afraid to set these boundaries for your time and energy.
And communicate the why.
Communicating the underlying reason helps immensely. Once you take a firm, polite stand, explain why, and maintain it consistently, people surprisingly quickly learn to accept and respect it. They see it demonstrates self-respect and clear priorities. You might even find they admire it.
That's brilliant advice, especially for navigating demanding environments. Okay, so essentials identified, boundaries fortified by learning to say no. But this phrase, editing your life, it still sounds quite drastic. What does this mean for our physical spaces, our digital clutter, even relationships? It feels like a much bigger purge.
It is a bigger step, and often the most emotionally challenging one. But it's vital for fully embracing this way of living. It's about consciously creating space.
Space.
Physical space, mental space, emotional space, space for what truly belongs, space for clarity, space for peace. It fosters this profound sense of lightness. And yes, it often starts with the most tangible thing, your physical belongings.
The decluttering.
But this isn't just a weekend tidy up or a spring clean. Think of it as a unique, intentional, perhaps one-time deep purge that properly ushers in the essentialist lifestyle.
A one-time purge, okay.
It involves systematically letting go of clothes that don't fit or haven't been worn in ages, items around the house you never actually use, gifts you received but secretly dislike.
That old sports equipment in the garage.
Exactly, that dusty exercise bike, those decorative bits that don't bring you joy, books you've read and won't read again. The instruction is clear, if tough. Donate it or dispose of it responsibly.
Sounds liberating, but I can immediately feel the potential emotional hurdles. What about things we're attached to? Or the guilt over money spent on things we never used? How do you deal with that without feeling overwhelmed or, frankly, a bit foolish?
You're absolutely right to anticipate that. It can be difficult. It often brings up regret, nostalgia, maybe embarrassment when you realize just how much stuff you've accumulated and what it cost.
Yeah.
Finding 5 identical black jumpers, tags still on, it's humbling. A proper clear-out demands that brutal honesty we talked about. And it's not just about getting rid of things. It's also about using the good things you might have been saving for some mythical special occasion.
That beautiful dinner set gathering dust.
Precisely. Give yourself a rule, maybe a 6-month rule. If you don't use that fancy china or those crystal glasses within 6 months, really question if keeping them packed away serves any purpose.
That's practical. What about sentimental clutter? Old photos, kids' drawings.
Great question. Consider digitizing them. Scan the photos. Take pictures of the drawings. You keep the memory without the physical bulk. Or maybe turn a few key drawings into curated art prints. For kids' old clothes, some people make memory quilts. Children themselves are often surprisingly unsentimental about chucking things out once they pick their current favorites. It's about making peace with the past to create space for the present.
So it's about ensuring what we keep is truly serving us, bringing joy, or fulfilling a purpose. How does this editing principle stretch beyond physical stuff to our digital lives, social circles?
Once you tackle the physical clutter, something shifts. Your home feels lighter, easier to manage. Finding things is simpler. You save money. But more importantly, you cultivate this new awareness, this discernment muscle.
Ah, the discernment muscle. I like that.
And that naturally extends outwards. You feel empowered to resign from the book club that feels like a chore, to mass unsubscribe from email lists that just clog up your inbox and headspace.
Yes, unsubscribe.
Even to consciously reduce contact with, or sometimes end, relationships with people who consistently drain your energy, thrive on negativity, or just don't bring positivity into your life.
That takes courage, too.
It does. And if you ever waver, you go back to those lists, your core people, your core values. It provides the anchor. And remember, this editing isn't a one-off. It becomes an ongoing practice. You might find you want to shed even more later, discovering the deep comfort and satisfaction of living with even less. It makes you far more mindful about what you allow in the future, new items, new commitments. Will this genuinely enhance my life or just add clutter? It's a continuous refinement towards peace.
It sounds incredibly powerful, truly liberating, but I can imagine listeners thinking, wow, that's a lot. This whole idea of a comprehensive life edit. It could feel quite paralyzing. How do we actually make these huge changes stick? What's the secret to not getting totally overwhelmed by the scale of it all?
That's a crucial point. And what's fascinating and really important to grasp is that significant lasting change rarely happens in one giant leap.
Right, it's not usually an overnight transformation.
Exactly. Essentialist transformation, like any real personal growth, is built through the accumulation of consistent, often quite small victories. It's these small wins that build momentum and make it feel achievable and rewarding rather than terrifying. That fear of the huge overhaul is real, and it does paralyze people. They give up before they start.
So break it down, avoid the overwhelm.
Precisely. That's why essentialism is framed as this long-term adaptive process, built incrementally.
Can you give some concrete examples of these small wins? How does that look day to day?
Absolutely. So if the thought of clearing out your entire wardrobe feels overwhelming, maybe today's essentialist goal is simply to tackle one drawer, or to identify just 5 items of clothing to donate.
Okay, manageable.
Or if you're trying to build new routines and can't map out the whole week perfectly yet, just jot down ideas as they occur to you on a notepad. Don't aim for the perfect routine immediately. The key is consistency over scale. Small, regular efforts compound over time. You're building new habits, new ways of thinking, one tiny choice at a time.
And how do routines themselves fit into making this sustainable, especially with busy, unpredictable professional lives?
Routines are absolutely fundamental for embedding essentialism. They provide the structure, the predictable rhythm needed for a simpler, more organized, more intentional life.
Structure in the chaos.
Exactly. Routine ensures your time gets compartmentalized, not just for the unavoidable obligations and planning, but crucially, for dedicated free time.
That often neglected free time.
Yes, specifically for those meaningful personal tasks that always seem to get pushed to the bottom of the list. That sewing project, writing that book chapter, practicing guitar, painting.
The things that actually replenish us.
Precisely. The things that bring satisfaction, foster creativity, restore your spirit. But they often get squeezed out because they don't feel urgent or aren't formally scheduled. Routine gives them their rightful place.
So it ensures the things on our essential lists actually happen. How detailed should these routines be? Does every minute need mapping out?
Not necessarily every minute, but initially, being quite detailed helps establish the new patterns. Using planners, physical or digital, to block out time for tasks, even small ones like walk the dog or read for 30 minutes, creates accountability.
Write it down, make it real.
Yes. But crucially, routines need adjusting. They aren't rigid templates. You tweak them until they genuinely suit your needs, your energy patterns, your specific professional demands. You'll know it's working when you're consistently meeting your key obligations, giving quality time to your important people, and still having that restorative free time for your own pursuits. It boosts productivity, yes, but more importantly, it brings a sense of control, fulfillment, and peace.
And finally, what about the mindset? How do we stay motivated through this? Those old habits of more, more, more are so deeply ingrained in us and society.
That's where actively recognizing and celebrating every single success, no matter how small it seems, becomes absolutely vital.
Celebrating the small wins.
Yes, consciously acknowledging them. This affirmation reinforces your decision to live intentionally. It gives psychological weight to what you value and motivates you to keep removing the distractions. It is hard to swim against the cultural tide of wanting more, so every decluttered shelf, every no you manage to say gracefully, every bit of protected time, it deserves recognition. Self-compassion is key here.
And maybe sharing those successes.
Sharing can be incredibly powerful. You might inspire friends or colleagues just by living it. And starting any new way of living is always easier if you feel some support, even if it's just one person who gets it. It's all about building that unstoppable momentum through consistent small steps, celebrating progress, and staying focused on a life of deliberate purpose.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. It really clarifies how essentialism offers this profound shift away from that frantic, overwhelming busyness towards real intentionality, clarity, purpose, all by deliberately choosing less. And the benefits, more time, more freedom, less stress, deeper well-being, sound incredibly appealing. So as we wrap up, what does this all mean for you, the listener, contemplating applying this to your own demanding life?
Well, remember, essentialism isn't about doing more with less effort or even just doing less overall. It's about doing the right less. So the real, perhaps provocative question I'd leave you with is this. What is the single most critical, non-essential thing you can identify in your life today? And what if you decided to courageously eliminate it right now to immediately make space for what truly matters?
A very powerful thought to consider and maybe act on. If you found this deep dive valuable, we'd be incredibly grateful if you could take just a moment to rate and share it with a colleague or friend who might also benefit. Professor, thank you so much for guiding us through this essential conversation today.
It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We look forward to exploring more vital topics with you next time.